Hey guys, welcome to the 23rd episode of the Learning Podcast. And if you aren't sure, it's a Singaporean podcast dedicated to learning something new from every single guest on this show. And today I have a very big privilege of having Dr. Nisha on the show. Dr. Nisha, thanks so much for coming all the way to the east of Singapore.
It's my pleasure.
So for context, right, Dr. Nisha is a professor, she's a consultant, she's a trainer, she's an educator, and she has a PhD in finance and in accounting. And she's been teaching in universities. I think she's currently teaching in the London School of Business and Finance. And she has over a decade's worth of experience. If I'm not wrong, it's about 18 years right now. And she has taught MBA classes. So when it comes to these conversations, right, I don't feel very smart, but I want to be able to perhaps understand her journey in terms of being an academician, in terms of her thought process of doing what she does in her research field, whether it's teaching, research. So I think a couple of reasons why I think this conversation will be helpful. Firstly, if there are any university students out there who are interested in pursuing the academic route, I think it's very interesting. Honestly, it's something that didn't really appeal to me, but I have some friends that are very passionate about research, and I'm sure that in her experience, she can share some of her experience when it comes to teaching MBA students, or at least coaching MBA students to become professors themselves. So I'm sure there's a lot that we can dig into. Secondly, Dr. Nisha's expertise is in finance and valuation in that realm. So I think she helps startups and businesses to evaluate their overall strategy when it comes to valuation. So in the realm of startups, if let's say you're intending to raise millions of dollars or at least capital for a business, you need to have a certain framework to convince investors that your business is sound, mathematically wise, logically wise, in order to get that money in the first place. I know that she has a lot of experience when it comes to doing all this kind of technical analysis, the big macro themes that you need to take into account of. Please correct me if I'm wrong, right? Yeah. The last reason why I think this conversation might be helpful is that Dr. Nisha actually recently, if I'm not wrong, just started on her consulting journey in terms of creating her own consulting company, whereby she has a group of trainers where she helps companies with their overall strategy when it comes to finance, whether it's, I'm not sure if it deals with investment.
Strategy as well.
Yeah. So yeah, these are the macro concepts which I think will be useful, and I apologize in advance for not understanding, because this is part of my process in understanding your thought process as well.
You're great,
no, not really. Dr. Nisha, for those listeners that don't know who you are, could you just give a very quick introduction of who you are before we go all the way back into how you began this journey of being involved in research in the first place?
Yeah, so I'm based out of Singapore, and because of my husband's work, we keep traveling. So I've lived in India, then we moved to Sri Lanka, then Japan. Before Japan we were in Singapore, and then Singapore we went to Japan for 3.5 years, and we came back to Singapore.